Hey, this is Coaster Chall, Doncaster born but built for theme parks, and welcome to another Coaster Chall review. Now, this review is from one of my favourite dark rides and water rides in the world that I've done so far, and that is, of course, Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now, there's a reason why I love this attraction, and you'll see why. So we're going to start off with queue line and station atmosphere. We're going straight into this review, no more talking needed. So, queue line and station atmosphere then. So starting off with the queue line, apart from the queue line, the bit of queue line in the station, where it's surrounded by the audio, the Viking theming, and the big Viking statue outside the ride, apart from that, the rest of the queue outside the station building disappointed me, because even though you had the theming around you, you didn't feel that amazed because it wasn't proper wooden fenced queue line like it was inside the building. It was very lacklustre and didn't really give off as much as it could have been, in my opinion. It was like, you know, like those velvet line queue lines that you sort of get at a VIP red party, like a red carpet event. It sort of felt a bit like that. It was very temporary queue line outside the station building, but then inside, then you got the proper theming and the queue line and the proper themed actual queue line fencing. So if I was to make one smidgen little improvement on the actual queuing experience, I'd be putting an extra building in that bit of queue, and I'd be sort of saving one part of it. This is just an idea, don't get me wrong on this. I know it won't take up that much. I would be sort of giving off two separate buildings. One bit for the bit of queuing, and if you can, don't get me wrong, if you can't, then just use the whole building for a bit of indoor queuing, darken the building out, put some effects and some projections on, some Viking themed theming in there, like maybe some fire torches, etc, etc. But if you can do this, then split the queue off, so you've got a little bit where you're sort of queuing in to get into a little mini pre-show, and then the amount of groups you can let in via the pre-show, let them in, and then you watch this little 5-minute this little 1 or 2 minute pre-show, kind of like Wickerman's pre-show length, about 1 or 2 minutes, sort of tell you a backstory. Give Valhalla a backstory. That's the only thing that Valhalla's really missing, and that's a backstory. Because I think a backstory would make the ride experience just that little bit better, and just give off that pre-show element, and then let them out into the next bit of the queue line, which is the indoor queue line that was already there in the station. So I just think that should have worked. I know you've got the poncho building, where the little hut where you can buy your ponchos if you haven't got one, just to protect yourself if you don't want to get wet, because you will get very, very wet on this ride, as I'm about to explain. So I would move the poncho collection point somewhere near the entrance to the actual queue itself, or I would move it somewhere else, or maybe rotate it so it's facing outwards, so you can buy your ponchos and then join the queue. Because I feel like the temporary queue line before you get into the station building queue line just feels a bit like I said, very temporary and very lacklustre. So that's the only thing I'd change, and I think there's real potential there to build a bit of an indoor queue line instead, linked onto the original station building. Maybe if you could split it up, if you can split it up, like I said, maybe give it a mini pre-show, so you can let your groups in at once at different times and stuff like that. So maybe that'll improve queue experience, and maybe it'll improve the theming around the ride and give off that Viking experience. So for now, though, for queue line and station atmosphere, I'm going to give it a decent 5.5. I know people expected a 6 or a 6.5, but just, when I did it, it just felt like the temporary queue line with the sort of lines, and it felt like those airport gates where you sort of have to unclip something and sort of follow the line and sort of clip it onto the next metal pole. It just felt very temporary. So apart from that, the rest of the queuing experience was alright. It was nice to see all that Viking theming. Theming around the ride then, well, you know what I'm going to say, aren't you? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. It is the best themed attraction, non-coaster edition, in the world that I've done so far. I've said it. I feel as if it is one of the best one of the best themed experiences with theming around, in terms of theming around the ride. My favourite theming element was the Ring of Fire. I loved the Ring of Fire on that final double drop through the Ring of Fire. And another of my favourite elements was the arch fountains. Kind of reminded me, when I was sort of, because I've seen pictures of this when it happened, the arch fountains kind of reminded me of being on Bubbleworks at Chessington, even though I never got around to doing Bubbleworks. I know the Gruffalo River Ride Adventure is still available, and Chessington is very high on my parks list to go to in the future. Chessington's very high up. But it felt like a Bubbleworks moment when you got the fountain arch, because I saw the pictures of the fountain scene in Bubbleworks and the fountain arch in the new Gruffalo experience that opened in 2017 at Chessington. It felt a bit like that, and it sort of made you feel part of it. So it gives off that Bubbleworks kind of feel with the fountain arch. So that's why I kind of enjoyed that moment a bit more, because I sort of knew about the history of Bubbleworks and studied Bubbleworks for a while. But never got the chance to go on it. But I did study the ride from its earlier history in the 1990s way up until it closed for Gruffalo in 2016. So I did study Bubbleworks for a while. So apart from the Ring of Fire and the Fountain Arch, I love the near misses, the sort of rolling, like battering ram, I think it is. I can't remember if it's like a battering ram, but it's like a spike ram, and it sort of swings over your head. So you sort of, if you're really tall, you have to feel like you're ducking. So again, that was a very nice moment on the ride. I think the big skull, and also the fountains, and there was like it felt like fire on the floor as well. But one of my favourite things is the dark tunnel during the backwards drop, and I'll get onto more about that in the layout of the ride. So in terms of theming around the ride, 10 out of 10, faultless. Layout, I'm going to give a strong 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best layouts for a water dart ride, a thrilling water dart ride, not one of the slow ones like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Bubbleworks, Gruffalo, Toyland Tours, which are the same ride. And to be fair, it's at some parts, in a way, Dora's World Voyage, because that has a couple of dart moments here and there, including the station. But in terms of a thrilling dart water ride layout, it is one of the best in the world, in my opinion. Like I said before, the backwards drop with the turntable facing out of the fountain, it just looked so thrilling and so cutting edge. I was so happy Jeffrey Thompson got to see this ride when it was first created before he died a few years later. It was such a shame when he died, because he was the pioneer for Blackpool Pleasure Beach when they put in the big one in 1994, right up until the 07-08 days. It was sad to see him pass away at the time, but it got to see the park grow and grow into a major UK destination and worldwide destination. I think if he was looking down on Pleasure Beach now, he'd be very happy to see that they've invested in another coaster, and they've sort of made it even more of a destination than it already is. So big up to Jeffrey Thompson. I know you're operating your own Blackpool Pleasure Beach up in the sky, and you've been a real pioneer for the industry. So I'm very happy that he got to see Valhalla in its heyday. And like I said, the layout is incredible. Like I said before, the double drop into the Ring of Fire, that was an intense moment for me. The first, one of the other drops, as you go into that fountain arch, just gives off that moment of, oh no, we're not safe yet. And straight away after the double drop, when you go into that massive fire scene where there's fireballs in like a wooden hut, I think it is. I don't know how this was even safe. And then one of my favourite parts of the layout is a slow turnaround as you come back into the station, and there's like a water spray that just makes a little spray, just like that. So it gives you a bit of a jump scare in a way, like, oh, I didn't expect that spray coming. And the after effects, as it trickles down onto your poncho or your hair, just gives that extra bit of wetness. In terms of wetness, it is a very, very, very wet ride. It's a very, very wet ride. So in terms of layout, 9 out of 10. Overall then, for Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, I'm going to give this a strong 9 out of 10. Like I said, for now at least, it's one of the best water dart rides, thrilling attractions I've ever done. In fact, it is my #1 dart ride, over Darren Brown's Ghost Train, Nemesis Subterra, Buzz Lightyear Laser Blasters. It's a Small World. I've done so many dart rides up and down the country, and in Disneyland Paris as well, in both Disneyland Park and the Walt Disney Studios Park. I've done so many dart rides, and I'll look to do more dart rides in the future at many other parks across Europe and hopefully the world, all the way into the Americans and the Asias as well. But for now at least, Valhalla is the king of the dart rides for me. It just gives off that brilliant, thrilling dart ride feeling that the likes of Darren Brown and Nemesis Subterra can't live up to, unfortunately. So overall for Valhalla, it's a strong 9 out of 10. So that's this review then from Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a video. And for now, my name is Coaster Chall. Keep living the coast life, my dudes, and I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Take care. Have an awesome day, my friends.